Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Call to order. Economic Development and Planning Committee. It is 6 o'clock. Voting members on this committee are Martin Kelly, Brian Sweet, Roy Diamond, and Dan Wilson. Is there any discussion before we start, or any discussion on any of the proposed resolutions? If not, we'll move right on to the resolutions. Resolution authorizing the county executive to sign an agreement for professional services, community-wide hazardous substance, brownfield assessment grant, economic development planning. Dan Wilson, sponsor. Second. Brian, second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? We'll move that to the full board. The next is a resolution amending the 2021 budget for Montgomery County Clean Energy Community Grant Project, New York State Research and Development Authority, NYSERDA, Economic Development Planning. Sponsor, Mr. Pep. Second, Brian. Brian, you second that? Sure. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Move that to the full legislature. The next resolution is scheduling a 30-day public review period, Montgomery County Agricultural District Number 1, Economic Development and Planning. Sponsor, Brian, second, Mr. Wilson. All those in favor? Yes.
Is this our normal cycle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstained? Move that to the full board. We also have an add-on resolution.
You have one more.
Oh. Okay. Resolution in support of an application to designate 68 Church Street in Canajoharie, New York for designation as a brownfield opportunity area, economic development and planning. Mr. Diamond, second Mr. Pep. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstained? Move that to the full legislature. So we have an add-on resolution tonight. I consider it a really exciting resolution. The resolution is authorizing the sale of real property acquired by tax foreclosure in the village of Canajoharie. Anybody want to have any discussion about that? Or we need a sponsor for straight? I'll sponsor it, and Mike will second it. Anybody have any discussion about this? Great. All right. All those in favor of moving it to the full legislative body?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Thank you all. We'll move that to the full legislature. We have if there's no other discussion, we have a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. So excited. Matt would like to discuss and introduce the parties.
Thank you.
It's like Christmas all over.
So, yeah, it's nice to have a full house tonight, and I just wanted to take a quick minute just to, just kind of reflect on, this journey that we've all been on together. There's some new members on the board, and there's some folks going back to the very beginning of this new form of government where we decided to take on the challenge of what was then the BeachNut site. And, we've been through environmental studies. Ken, certainly leading the way in the Economic Development Office, has done a great job, working with the county attorney and everyone. We had our task force, we have the mayor here, and John Brush from Delaware Engineering has been a big help the whole way. We really, along this journey have come together as a group and as a team with the common goal of trying to, bring back some hope and some positivity to the village of Canajoharie, but also, create a project that will be beneficial not only for the county but the region. And here we are all these years later, and looking at a resolution to potentially, have a sale of the property and move forward with a very exciting opportunity. So, I just wanted to just take a moment tonight to thank everyone for all the work that they've done to get to this point. Certainly, our Economic Development Office has led the way And we've had a lot of people involved, but, we've all done it together, and there's a lot more work to be done, but we really, I think if we stick with that same mantra of all working together to try for the betterment of the village, then the betterment of the county, I think there's going to be a lot of exciting things to come. So without further ado, we've been working with these folks and having conversations for feels like about a couple of years now, following what's happening at the state. And the one thing that I really like about the folks that you're going to have a chance to meet and get to know is I feel that they share the same commitment to the community that we have, and they get the historical nature and the real impact of what that site means to Canajoharie as well as the county. And I'm looking forward to having those discussions and really moving things forward. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce both Sheldon, Shelley, and Mike. And I feel like we're on a first name basis now, and if you guys could introduce yourselves. We certainly appreciate that. Maybe talk a little bit about the project, and then I'm sure the legislators might have some questions, and we'll take it from there. And real quick, before you do that, I'd also like to thank some of the folks that came tonight to be supportive from the Village of Canajoharie. Really means a lot to have Janet here, Matt, and Tim here tonight, so it's exciting. But yeah, you've done about a full job. But I'm looking forward to everyone meeting these folks.
Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, my sister Shelley and Mike and I would really just like to thank you guys for welcoming us up to your beautiful county, for your beautiful village of Canajoharie. I mean, it's, my sister and I have been on this journey for a couple of years. And when we came up here and we bought a farm in the town of Canajoharie. And on our way to our farm, we noticed the beech nut site. And, coming into that village, it's the quaintness, the beauty of it. We instantly fell in love, and we felt the drive that, hey, we should do something there. Like, we got to figure something out. And going through the process, because we were going to have a hemp farm and, doing the hemp situation, we started to actively pursue making that site into a processing facility. Then when we found out that, cannabis was coming, we decided that, hey, why don't we pivot to that? And then that's when, I was out in Las Vegas at a convention. By serendipity, I met up with Mike. And Mike had a successful operation out in Massachusetts that he was completing through a sale. And I asked him, could you come out and, talk to people here and educate them on your operation? And he said, sure, no problem. And when he came out here, he felt the same thing. He saw the site, he saw the beautiful village and the beautiful county. He's like, oh my God, I want to come in and help you guys with this project. So here we are today, and again, like I said, we just thank you for being open with this, and we're here for you. We want this place to make it even more beautiful and more productive, and that's our goal. Like to, any questions that you guys have, I'd like to introduce Mike. He is an expert in this, so.
Sure. Well, thank you very much for hearing us today. My name is Mike Dundas. I, as Sheldon alluded to, got involved first in the regulated cannabis industry back in 2012 when we had a ballot initiative in Massachusetts for medical use marijuana. I had been an attorney for a short time before that, and originally from Massachusetts, had been living in California and had watched for a number of years the medical marijuana program develop in California. They started medical marijuana out there in 1996. So they had a very well developed program by the time 2012 came along. And when I had heard that medical marijuana was on the ballot in my home state, I thought, this actually might be an opportunity for me to go back and start a professional medical marijuana facility of my own. And I did just that. I worked very hard. I got very lucky in the process as well, and was one of the recipients of the original 9 licenses in the state of Massachusetts for medical marijuana in 2013. And from 2013 until 2020, I and a number of folks together built one of the largest medical marijuana companies in Massachusetts. We operated a fully vertically integrated business, which means we operated a cannabis growing facility, a product manufacturing facility, and retail stores as well. And we sold that business in, as I said, in 2019. I stayed on for another 10 months or so to assist with the transition, and then transitioned out of that business in 2020. At the tail end of my time working for that organization, I met these folks, Sheldon and Shelley, as he said at the convention, and he said that he had a vision for something that he had seen, a property that he had seen here, and I was very curious, and his passion for this project really kind of sparked my interest. As he said, I came out and took a look at it as well. Ultimately, long story short, we're here working as partners. I'm a part owner in the project. I'll be in the project full-time with Sheldon and Shelley, and we're very, very excited. What we're proposing, as I hope some of you have already seen in the one-pager that we handed out, is for a adult-use cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility on the Exit 29 project site. We plan to develop it in phases. We have a 3-phase project. We're focusing now on phase 1. As of course you all have heard, I imagine, New York very recently passed an adult-use cannabis statute. The process that we will embark on will be guided by the statutory and regulatory timeline that the state embarks on. Typically, what we expect to see is, now that the statute has been passed, there's going to be a 3 to 6 month period where the new regulatory bodies are assembled. There need to be appointments by the governor, and then those bodies will promulgate a body of regulations that will dictate the rules and regulations for the cannabis program, as well as the licensure application process. And so once those rules are out, we'll know what the license process is, and we'll have a much better handle on the exact timeline. We're guessing, again, that those rules will be out within the next 3 to 6 months, and we're starting just recently. I don't want to quote anybody because I think it's all still speculation at this point, but I think the goal is for the application process to be promulgated by the 1st of the year. And that may sound like a long time to some. It certainly doesn't sound like a long time to me. After working in Massachusetts, it took many years for the program there to be fully implemented and established. But we're hoping to engage that process vigorously, and as soon as we possibly can embark on our initial permitting, initial engagement with the county. Obviously is happening here and now. We're going to be engaging with the village and the community there as well over the coming months prior to those regulations coming out, to help people understand what we hope to accomplish there, to answer their questions, to try to allay any concerns that they may have, and integrate their ideas into the process. One of the things, the strategies that I found was very successful in the business that I built in Massachusetts was to be very transparent about what we're trying to accomplish and what we're actually going to do. A lot of times when you have new legislation, especially in this area where there's been some controversy in the past about this type of substance, people sometimes get ideas, they get afraid, and so we found that it's been a very good practice to be open with the community, to talk to them, to listen to them, and to adjust our processes to accommodate their concerns where we can. And so with that, I'd like to offer, if anyone has any questions or comments about our project preliminarily, happy to answer them at this time.
I think it's my first impression, absolutely great use for that project, you know. Very little pollution, growing stuff, real positive step forward. I support it.
I appreciate that very much. You know, emissions from a production facility of this nature are very low relative to other industrial uses. That's true.
Make a lot of oxygen.
We do make oxygen. Yes, we do.
It also dovetails with the agrarian nature of our county to begin with. You know, farming is quite a big staple industry here, so great to integrate it in there.
Do you have any thoughts on if the state is going to, I'm sure they're going to limit the number of licenses, but do you have any idea what they're looking at as far as the opportunity for you to be able to obtain a license?
It's unclear at this point whether or not it's going to be a fiercely competitive process or whether they're going to open it up to anyone who qualifies. In Massachusetts, we had both worlds. In the initial process, it was a very limited license competition, and then they opened it up to anyone that qualified could get a license. It's, as I say, there's a lot of unknowns. The state statute does not specify whether it's going to be strictly competitive or whether it will be open. There are no caps in the statute itself, but it's very possible that caps could be instituted in the regulations. The Office of Cannabis Management, which is the new regulatory oversight body under a Cannabis Control Board, has the authority to cap licenses, to issue licenses, to not issue licenses. We're going to know much more in that regard once the regulations are available.
Thank you. Anything else?
I'd just like to commend and congratulate the administration of this county, our executive, Austin Ford, and our great economic development director, Ken Rose, for having the foresight to nurture and court our new friends here in anticipation. Nobody knew when cannabis would be, public use cannabis would be legalized, and I just think it's fantastic that we are able to hit the ground running with the new legislation because of the efforts of our management team, and for that, I'd like to start with
I'd like to make one comment. I want to thank everybody. And now Matt, when he takes his daughter to Syracuse University, he is going to be able to see this project. And Matt's going to say, honey, I was a major part of this project. Moving forward.
Just a quick story too. When we changed the form of government here, we were all a little sketchy about what we were doing, and one of the things that Matt did is he saw the vision of the Beech Nut site, and we struggled with that. We struggled whether it was an environmental nightmare. We struggled with them pulling out of Canajoharie. And one of the things he did was he contacted the students of Canajoharie High School, and we had a roundtable meeting, and we met with them and we had this discussion, and 6 months later we get this report back then. And what do you think the report said? The best use for that plant was growing marijuana.
True story.
So it's amazing. So it's amazing that the insight that the youth of our community has. So thank you again.
Thank you.
So now if I can have a motion to adjourn. Second, Brian, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned at 6:20. Thank you all.
I'd like to call to order the Health and Human Services Committee. Record reflect 6:20. Sure. Voting members of the committee are legislators Kelly, Duchessis, Isabel, and Pertel. Privilege of the floor. If anybody has something. Hearing none, we'll go right to the resolutions. First resolution, a resolution for Berkshire Farm Center and services for youth. And I'm looking for a sponsor. Legislator Kelly, Legislator Pep. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution is moved to the full legislature. Next resolution, resolution to amend the 2021 budget, transfer to capital project fund. Looking for a sponsor? Legislator Wilson, second. Legislator Pep, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? This resolution will move to the full legislature. Next resolution, a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign a laboratory services agreement with Laboratory Corporation of America Holdings. Look for a sponsor. Sponsor Legislator Kelly, second Legislator Wilson, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That resolution will be moved to the full legislature. Next resolution, a resolution for Berkshire Farm Center and Services for Youth. And I'll sponsor that, resolution, looking for a second. Legislator Kelly, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution will move to the full legislature. And the final resolution under this committee is a resolution amending the 2021 budget and establishing a part-time temporary attorney for social services. I'll sponsor the resolution. I need a second. Second, Legislator Patel. Discussion? Legislator Sweet?
How's this being handled right now without?
We've had, for the last 15 months, actually 16 months, December 2019, we've had one part-time attorney. And pretty much got it well. We had a hiring freeze for several months there, so we finally located, did select an attorney that is on board, that will be trained and mentored by actually the former attorney that held the full-time position up until December 2019.
So this is gonna be an additional to?
Just very temporary.
Okay.
Yeah. We're looking at probably 4 months.
Just to help clean up the.
Yeah, this person knows the caseload, and we kind of have a big increase for pre-trial work and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
You got me.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? And this resolution will be moved to the full legislature. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Legislator Patel, Legislator Wilson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 6:24.
Yeah.
Okay. Physical Services Committee called to order. Floor is open for discussion.
I want to thank Eric for the tour that he gave to us last week or before of the recorder building and the transfer station. It was nice to be able to see both those sites and get some insight as to what was going on. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're right, you get a better perspective when you walk it, you know.
No question. Great, great.
I agree. Thank you.
All right, first resolution authorizing the county exec to sign an agreement with the Montgomery County Sanitary District 1 for the disposal of leachate from the landfills located in Montgomery County. Legislator Sweet, Legislator Diamond. Any other discussion? All those in favor of moving it to a full board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? So moved to the full board. Next resolution amending the 2021 operating budget surplus equipment auction public works. I'll sponsor it, and Legislator Pep, Chairman Pep will be second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of moving it to a full board, say aye. Aye?
Just three of us.
There's just
Opposed? Okay, next resolution awarding RFP 521 for recycling services and authorizing the county exec to sign an agreement, consolidated waste service, doing business as Twin Bridges Waste and Recycle, the county treasurer. Have a sponsor, Legislator Sweet, and then Chairman Peck. All those in favor of moving to a full board?
Dan? Dan,
Oh.
is that the same company that Gloverville's using? I saw a bunch of.
Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
Brian, I think Sean's on the line if you want to.
I just want to know if it's the same company. Yeah, thank you.
All those in favor move to a full board?
All right.
Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Next resolution authorizing the county exec to sign a easement agreement for roadway design improvements, Leper Road, County Highway 20 in the town of Amsterdam. There was sponsor, legislator Sweet, legislator Diamond. All those in favor of moving to full board? Oh, you can.
Eric, can you just, I know this is a matter of course here, but I'm just curious about the timing. The road got taken care of, the bridge there last fall. Is this an after the fact situation here, or, can you describe?
Yeah, so the whole course action was to replace that culvert at the
Yes.
bottom of the intersection of McDonald Drive and Leper Road, with the intention to widen that road as phase 2 of the project. Right now, currently, we were lucky if we have a 7-foot lane width up Leper Road from McDonald Drive to the Fulton County line. These easements are just allowing us to move ditches back and allow for underground drainage, catch basins, things like that, so we can get a wider road up through there, so it's safer for traffic.
How long of a stretch? The whole distance to Fulton County?
Yeah, from McDonald Drive all the way up to the Fulton County line is in the neighborhood of 3/4 of a mile.
And these are the only homeowners on that stretch?
Yeah, the Apalka family owns the major portion of that highway up through there,
Okay.
which we've got that family's blessing on widening the road, and we've already begun with a lot of tree removal that we did at the end of this winter. And then the rest of it is just short distances, residential properties where we're just looking for some construction easements to move some ditches back and some drainage.
Thanks, Commissioner.
All those in favor of moving it to a full board?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Anything under other? Motion to adjourn? Legislator Kelly, legislator Sweet. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to, on behalf of legislator Isabel, who's not present, and ask me to run his portion of the meeting, I'd like to call a public safety committee meeting to order at, what do you got there, Shirley? 6:28. Remind the voting members, legislator Sweet, Diamond, Headwell, and Wilson. Any items for discussion? Hearing none, we have one resolution this evening, a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign the New York State Indigent Legal Services Grant Extension Contract for the Public Defender's Office. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Sweet, legislator Headwell. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Motion to adjourn, the public safety, legislators Diamond and Sweet. Thank you.
6:29.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will call the Education and Government Committee to order at 6:29 and a half. First thing on the discussion, on the agenda discussion, does anyone have anything?
I'd like to take a moment to congratulate the new president who is in the audience of FMCC.
Anything else? All right, now we move on to the first resolution, is a resolution authorizing advertising for bids for FMCC Financial Technology Lab project. I'll sponsor in a second. Legislator Pep, any discussion? Greg, you want to fill us in on anything, or is it?
Sure, this is a project that we had hoped, we approved it last year, but then, the state just couldn't cut the capital projects, to health and safety only. This is a foundation funded project, so there's no cost to either of the sponsor counties. This is upgrading one of our classrooms to create an investment technology center to support our business program. If any of you are familiar with Sienna College, made up from quite a training for, and helps support several of our courses, and we're looking forward to that as a marketing tool as well to get students in. So we're getting a little bit of a late start this year, but we should have it done by late fall if all goes as planned.
Good. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? So carried. And the last resolution authorizing the Montgomery County Executive to execute an amendment of the memorandum of agreement with the Environmental Protection Agency. Any sponsor? Dan, second. Roy, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? So carried. Anything else under others? Not motion to adjourn? Roy? Oh, second.
You didn't need me.
Greg's fault.
Mr. Headwell?
Call the Budget and Finance Committee to order, 6:32, 6:31. Discussion from the floor? Go ahead.
I just want to say that I'm happy to see this report again with the sales tax. I'm glad that you brought that.
I want to talk about that in a second, or talk about it now. I could just give it off to the far right-hand side of it, kind of shows where we are. Last year, we had a really good first quarter, and this year, looks like we're even having better. We're 712,000 ahead of where we were last year, and just hope it keeps going in the same direction. So, but I think this gives us a really good picture of where we're going with the sales tax.
It sure does. Fantastic.
Any other discussion from the floor? Okay, we have two resolutions. First resolution is approving the abstract of the audit of claims. Have a motion? Legislator Kelly, second Legislator Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The second resolution we have is a resolution authorizing the sale of county property, pallets. Sponsor, Legislator Kelly, Legislator Wilson. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Departmental reports. You have them in front of you. There's not a lot there at the moment, but if you go to the county treasurer, he's talking about solid waste operations, which I think is going to be something that we're going to have to be talking about in the near future. Shauna's on the line or no?
Yes. Yes, he is.
Shauna?
Sean, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sean, you want to talk a little bit about the solid waste operation, what you think we're going to be going with this?
Well, at the first of the year, the charges that were being charged for the operation and transportation of the landfill did increase, and we did not increase the tipping fee. And the first 3 months of the year, we are running in the red with operations. So it'll be up to the executive and the legislature if they choose to increase the tipping fee to offset our losses.
Do you have a recommendation, Sean, as to where, we're at 82 cents, right? Or $82? Do you have any sense where it would go?
To cover the losses,
Yeah.
you're looking at probably about $2.50 per ton increase, if you so choose.
So that would just offset it and have us break even?
That should break us even for the remainder of the year.
And not absorb the loss for the first 3 months?
I don't know, that will probably not cover the loss for the first 3 months.
Do you know the number it has to be for us to break even by 12/31, including the first 3 months? Another 50 cents or no?
You're probably looking at about $3 to $3.50.
So that would put us at 85.50 tops, where does that put us against the competition? Are we still?
We are still lower than
Okay.
surrounding areas.
Okay.
When it comes to tipping fee.
Okay, so that's just what I wanted to make sure, is if we could raise it to do this and, still be the least expensive around. Okay, thank you.
But where's the recycling fall in there, Sean?
Recycling is a totally different thing. Our previous contract, we were actually receiving $5 a ton for recyclables, but seeing there's no market, we have to start charging, the municipalities and haulers to offset the cost of recycling. That's what the previous resolution did, amending the budget.
How soon can you get a resolution together for that?
You have you did move the recycling resolution.
No, the tipping fee. I'm
Really
sorry.
up to the executive where he wants to propose a resolution
Okay.
increasing the
All right.
tip fee.
Okay. Sooner the better.
Where we, Sean, on the, where were you going with the recycling one?
What's that?
What were you saying with the recycling?
We have a conference call scheduled this week with the municipalities. We have to start charging either the municipality or the municipal hauler the cost of $72.50 per ton for recyclables to offset, and that's what we're being charged by Twin Bridges.
What happened to the market for recycling? I mean, there's no,
There
nowhere
is
in the
no
state
market.
at all that's kind of hard, it seems hard to believe that no one will take it even for, cost.
Right.
We only received 2 responses to our RFP, and the one that we're awarding is actually quite a bit lower than our other option.
I would just caution us moving too quickly on raising the tipping fees. We've got a lot of municipalities there that are going to pick up, $72.50 a ton throughout the county. And I just want to make sure before we put that in place that we really have some good discussions about it.
Sure.
The $2.50, $3 a ton are still probably gonna make a $60,000 difference to the city of Amsterdam. Even towns like the town of Minden are gonna experience, they haven't been budgeted for it. So please, let's just let's be efficient about our time in discussing this and make sure that we ferreted out everything that we need to do.
I would think that would, certainly, great advice, and, I appreciate where you're coming from. I just think that, at some point in time, we gotta stop this bleeding, and maybe we can absorb it this year and get people prepared, to absorb it next year, or, I don't know, but I think sooner or later, we gotta, you don't wanna lose money on it,
No,
One thing we have to keep in mind, and I've said this since I was a supervisor, is that the property tax is one pot of money. So if it's at the county, so if it's at the towns. So when you're talking about this, it's either coming out of the county budget or the town budget. It's still coming out of the taxpayer's pocket, one way or the other.
Sure.
So we need to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So, like Secretary Patel said, a lot of these municipalities have already budgeted this year for
Right.
their expenses, so we need to discuss it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't want to ram it through either. It's, like anything else, we should discuss it, but I don't want to lose money at it ad infinitum, you know what I mean? If I see the point, let's give them time to prepare for it. Maybe we implement it later, for next year or something of that nature, or if we don't do it right away, but, I think it's silly for us to lose money at any part of our operation, you know, at least gotta break even at it, I would think, but that's just my opinion.
So Sean, do we have any projections till the end of the year, what the increases are gonna be?
The increases for what?
But for both the recycling and for the solid waste disposal?
Well, just to give you a perspective, the total recycling that goes through our system is about, for a full year, is about 5,000 to 6,000 tons. That's it. Total of tonnage that goes for solid waste is about 45,000 to 55,000 tons. So you're looking at, if we do not raise the tipping fee for solid waste, you're potentially looking at 55, probably close to $250,000 loss.
And the
And
recycling?
if you don't, the recycling, if you don't charge, you're looking at about 4,000 tons times the 7,250.
4,000 tons?
Yeah, 7,250.
That's $290,000. Okay.
Well, we got some
Some
tough
suffering to
decisions to
do.
make, things to discuss, no doubt about it.
So we're looking at a $600,000
Yeah,
deficit.
yeah.
Cheryl, do you know as a town supervisor, is it mandatory for you to provide, recycling? I don't remember it being mandatory.
I don't know as if it's mandatory, but it is, I mean, we have a contract with Weaver Sanitation.
Right.
They do once a month pickup.
Right. I would just hate to see,
That contract is somewhere around $5,000 a year. With something like this, Sean and I talked about it, I mean, we're probably looking at like a $30,000.
well, and I would hate to see the municipality say, this is not mandated, I'm no longer going to provide the service.
Mhm.
So now you got people just throwing the recyclables in the garbage.
Yeah,
So now you have,
yeah,
you know,
I
so
understand.
you're defeating the purpose.
Yeah,
Well, it's, I would just like to see us do some more research on trying to find someone who would at least take the stuff at cost, you know, not charges. They've got to be making money on recycling stuff. I can't believe there's not someone out there that would take this stuff.
You know, just another thought, previously, they used to take things out of the waste stream once they went past the tipping, and they saved money by doing that, taking the wood products out of it. You're getting paid the tonnage, but then you're putting parentheses around the wood, the metals and things like that. I don't think there's any incentive at this point for the vendor that we have there to be efficient or sensible about the waste stream.
we saw that firsthand a couple weeks ago.
So that's something that we really should discuss.
Absolutely.
So, just to update everybody, we have a meeting set up with the regional director of DEC and his staff this week to discuss waste diversion opportunities, some, programs that they have at DEC as far as potential grants. So, if anyone wants to participate in that, it's by phone, reach out to me, and we'll be certainly happy to have you on that.
Would you put me on that,
Yeah, absolutely.
please?
When is it?
Friday at
This Friday?
11:30.
You're buying lunch?
It's on the phone. GYOL.
Order in, you know.
Hey, Sean, did you, you know what Brian brought up? Is there such a thing out there, how heavily did we research this recyclable thing where, maybe we don't have to incur that expense? Or is there no such thing, no such animal out there?
Well, our current vendor who we're using now is currently paying us, also put a proposal in, and their proposal is at $95 a ton. But if we're gonna try to explore new options and go month to month, we're probably gonna have to pay the $95 a ton with the current vendor.
Yep.
So am I correct in saying that the trash is $82 or $85 a ton, but the recycling is $72 a ton? Wouldn't we still be better off taking the recycling and paying $12 less a ton for disposal?
Rather than having thrown in the garbage.
Right,
Yeah.
rather than co-mingling.
Because you're gonna co-mingle. You're gonna
Yeah.
eat it.
That's why I brought that to light, because I think it's something that we're gonna have to discuss and talk about.
Yeah, big time.
Good discussion.
Okay, on the dashboard reports, there's two different dashboard reports that you have. The March 31st, 2021, it's really too early to go over too much on that. You can see where we're, our revenue, where we are with expenditures. You know, revenue's up a little bit, expenditures are down a little bit, which is always a good sign. If you look at the one from December 31st, 2020, Sean says the AUD should be done by the end of April, which is good. And if you look at the revenue side, we're up about 12 million in revenues, and the total expenditures were up about 6 million. So, two good signs on last year's budget, especially with everything that was going on. And again, the news with the sales tax so far this year, it looks like we're still going in the right direction. But I still say we need to be cautious on what we spend and what we do. And I know that we're looking to do a lot of other things in the county, which, you know, it's gonna cost some money to do, so we always have to be cautious. Anyone else have anything?
I just wanted to make and since the executive's back here too, I think it's a good topic for discussion. You know, we've all become aware that we're probably going to receive, you know, federal stimulus for COVID, somewhere between 9.5, what's the number?
Yeah, about 9.5, yeah.
9.5 million. And,
Over 2 years, split right down the middle over 2 years, sorry.
I don't want to, you know, get too deep into this, but I just want to put it on everybody's radar in that, you know, we've all been discussing among ourselves a little bit here and there, certain uses for it, or potential uses for it, you know, as long as it dovetails with the guidelines, you know, and I just think the right approach is to make sure, a couple of things, make sure that we're, you know, I've discussed this with Matt a little bit, and as all of you have, and I think his approach is, let's take the money in, let's see how we're allowed to spend it before we spend a lot of it, and you know, and then be judicious about it, you know, and I think, you know, a couple things I have in the back of my mind, not necessarily uses for it, but, you know, whatever we use it on, I think the recommendations with input from us should come from administration, you know, and please, you know, Matt, encourage your department heads to talk to us as legislators, as part of our committees, to see if there are, you know, viable uses of it within the outline of how it should be used. But I also think that, you know, whatever and how much we use of it eventually, that we should retain some of it in our fund balance for future potential use to strengthen our balance sheet, although unless that's prohibited. And is that prohibited?
Well, and that's the thing, we're still waiting to get further detail. So, you know, what I said to the department heads, there's been a lot of ideas. Certainly people see opportunity to take care of issues that they have, and I said, it's great to have your ideas and think about it, but we need to get more detail before we make those decisions. So, what I've been told is there's two uses. One is to address any direct financial impact from COVID-19, but also to address any economic impacts of COVID-19. So that broadly, certainly we can make the argument for a whole host of things. But until we actually get the guidance from Treasury, which I haven't seen yet, we're really just speculating. So I think what you're saying is right on the money, to take a cautious approach, get the wheels turning, but let's take it one step at a time and not rush to do anything here.
The two phases of, what's the timing, Matt?
Well, as different than a town or a village or the city, which will receive the money, go from the federal to the state and then to them, ours is directly from the federal government. So, you know, again, the real big, and I have not seen anything that came out just recently, I haven't seen it yet, is there will be guidance from Treasury that will detail, but again, we've been told it's going to be broad. And so, in those two big points that I mentioned earlier, the points they're going to focus on. You know, things that come to mind, you know, and I'm sure Dan could talk about it, the cost of materials is through the roof. I imagine that's going to affect our DPW facility. To me, that's a likely, target potentially. But you know, again, until we have that direct and specific guidance from the federal government, we're really just kind of game planning.
Okay. Legislator Cook?
You know, my views on it are that I'd really like to see us take a conservative approach and use the money to pay for things rather than bond for things in the future. I think that we need to start establishing that path anyways. But if we just bite what we can chew, and we should be in pretty good shape financially from this. I just think we'd be better off if we sit back, watch, go slowly, and whenever possible, pay for things rather than bond for them.
I think we're all on pretty much the same page, shall we say?
So are the December 31st as close to close out as possible?
It's really close, he said, really close to being closed out. Correct, Sean?
Sean?
What's that?
You indicated that the,
Yes, I'm here.
you indicated that the December 31st, you were very close to closing everything out on that report that you gave us, correct?
Yeah, there's gonna be just a few, closeout entries, but nothing that's gonna materially change the figures.
And Sean, having asked you this question offline myself about the timing of the audit last week, you did point out one department was still trying to reconcile out, and when we use the word reconcile, we know what department we're talking about. Did you make any headway with that?
They're still working on it. I haven't received anything from them yet.
Okay.
So, if I can continue, in the budget notes that are in there, so does that mean the reduction that we've seen in the income, there's a correlating reduction in the expense?
Sean, you hear that, Sean?
I believe it's gonna be some adjustments on both ends, but I don't know to what extent.
And then, my other question is on the road fund. Is that, we just transfer money to balance that account?
It's my understanding.
That's correct. Both the road fund and the machinery fund.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Transfers to that fund, those funds from the general fund is the balancing piece for that fund.
so,
They don't need those transfers from the general fund. They don't.
so why is the revenue about 100,000 more than the expenditures in the machinery fund? Or the road fund, sorry.
Because they only because if they had fund balance to use and didn't need to transfer cash wise, I don't transfer. Well, that's if you see.
So the transfer is booked to
Expenditures
pool.
exceeded the revenue, they ended up using some of the fund balance. is that fund.
So are you booking that as accrual then, the transfer, that really isn't what was transferred in? That 5.2?
Well, if you're looking at the I think you're looking at two different things. The transfer from the general fund and actually the transfer to capital projects, which is TIP fund. You're looking for transfers out on the
No.
expense side?
No, I'm looking at it.
Bonds with the-
No, I see that the revenue from the road fund is 9.7. The expenditures are 9.6 on the road fund, on the December.
Correct, that means about $100,000 of their fund balance is being used, is offset that difference. So their fund balance for the year end 2020 would be reduced to $100,000.
They took in more money than they expended.
They didn't need fund balance.
Then it would increase $100,000.
Okay.
If the
Yeah.
revenue exceeds the expense, you would increase $100,000.
So we transferred in from the general account over 100,000.
Well, partly is that is because when I do the transfers, it's prior to year end.
Okay.
And once they book all their accruals, for example, their main source of accruals is the CHIP funding coming in, gets booked in January or February of the following year. So that's what they would put them over, their revenues exceeding
Okay.
Their expenses.
really in
Okay.
excess of the transfer already happened.
Okay.
So would that go back to the general fund?
To go back to the general fund?
Well, what we would do is, the following year's budget, we would increase the use of fund balance in the road fund and reduce the transfer to the road fund in the general fund.
Okay. So it's taken care of in the ensuing fiscal year.
Correct.
Okay. These guys are happy.
Anyone else? Motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor?